Hoy nos acompaña a primera hora Michael Klein, es el responsable de Seven Reasons, una compañía austríaca que ha estado desarrollando un conjunto de reconstrucciones virtuales para el Parque Arqueológico de Carnuntum. El caso de Seven Reasons es muy interesante porque a pesar de ser una empresa, trabaja tanto en Alemania como en Austria en proyectos de gran envergadura. Y en este caso, en colaboración directa con el Parque Arqueológico de Carnuntum, el parque arqueológico más importante de Austria, un proyecto verdaderamente espectacular, lo contará él a continuación. Probablemente, a mi modo de ver y por lo que he podido saber y ver en Europa, probablemente estamos hablando de unos proyectos más importantes de Europa, ¿no? Y por consiguiente, tiene un gran interés. Como vamos un poco mal de tiempo, no me voy a dilatar más, le voy a dar la palabra y lo que sí dejaremos al final de su intervención 5 o 10 minutos para preguntas que estoy seguro que le surgirán sobre este interesante proyecto de Carnuntum.
So, good morning. Thank you for inviting me to present a work we've done over the last years, beginning from 2005 in Carnuntum in Austria. Is that loud enough? Allow me to stay seated because I use my own computer and I don't have to run around clicking all the knobs. So starting off, I'd like to show you where Carnuntum is. It's based in Lower Austria near Vienna. It's the former capital of Pannonia Superior and started off as a legionary camp like most of the cities around Danube and Rhine region. Here you can see an aerial photograph of the site which was taken quite a long time ago, where actually only 14% of the region was prospected, and that was approximately 11 years ago. Until now, the complete region is prospected and scientifically evaluated. But still, all the remains are underground. They are not visible. So that is a very special task for the Park of Carnuntum to make this huge site attractive for visitors and visible, plus, of course, gain a kind of commercial value to bring people to the site. Here you can see a LiDAR scan, which was taken 4 years ago, where we actually started off with the reconstruction of the terrain, surrounding terrain, and also with prospections and putting together all the prospections in a GIS program. That was actually the starting point for the reconstruction of the Canabay and the civil town of Carnuntum, which are approximately 7 kilometers apart. One aim was, besides the digital reconstruction, also to support a haptic model, scale model in scale to 1 to 300, which measures approximately 24 times 7 meters. So it's one of the biggest maquettes of archaeological models existing in Europe at the moment. Of course, we were only playing a rather small part in this scheme. There was a huge set on scientists working on the matter. There were specialists from the commercial part, from the park, who set up all the installations, but the plan was also to set up not only virtual and scale models in a small scale, but also a scale model in one-to-one reconstruction. So also here it was started around 6 years ago when they re-erected a Roman house of the 3rd century on top of the remains, the original remains. And from there on, they rebuilt almost every year another house. Until now, we have 4 houses completely rebuilt where the visitors can go in there and really experience the environment of a Roman house. Last year, they finished up reconstruction of Roman bathhouse in 1:1 scale, fully functioning, where you can go in. I'll show you pictures afterwards, and really, again, experience how it would feel like to be in a Roman environment in a 1:1 scale. I think it's very important because it's of course, very nice to have animations, pictures, augmented reality and everything else included into exhibitions, but you can never bring the real feeling of something like a building onto people on a screen or on a device or whatever. You have to really rebuild the whole environment. So the techniques used were, of course, techniques you all know, and they are used on many sites. The special thing here was that we had the possibility to use special equipment from Riegel scanners, LiDAR scanners, terrestrial scanners, photogrammetry to digitize the monuments which are still standing. The monuments still standing represent about 7% of the complete structure, so there's really not much to see. And over the last 6 years, the aim was to make a park which is very interesting to visit and interesting to see. These were the partners. I'll just skip this one. And here you have one part of the site. Site itself is very large, as I said. It's about 7 kilometers abroad. So the people kind of have to travel from one place to the other and see different things in museums, outside, in one-to-one reconstructions, and like I said, in the maquette model. Here you can see the maquette model. That is the length of the whole model. Divided by 2 sections. The one section is the legendary fortress and the Canabre Legionis, and the other one is the civil town. All the data derived from the virtual reconstruction. So by doing that, we had to take care that all the models would be modeled in a way that they could be printed or molded afterwards, which is of course also a very additional special task. But not only the model images, pictures and movies were made, but also an attempt to re-enlive other structures like the amphitheater 2. There are 2 amphitheaters in Carnuntum, in order to, again, bring the feeling of the dimensions, of the size of all these buildings to the people. So here you can see one part of the seats of the amphitheater covered with a big picture on the outside of the reconstruction, the virtual reconstruction. And in that amphitheater, of course, sometimes there are performances of gladiators performing their play. Another thing we could achieve there was to support the exhibition, which was dedicated to Roman religion. Here you can see Mitra's relief, which only partly exists. The rest is reconstructed, as you can see on the white parts, and was then projected with colors to show the original state of the coloring of this relief. Like I told you before, there were haptical one-to-one reconstructions being made. This also allowed us to to not only check on our ideas of the virtual reconstruction, but also get some experiences from the building site itself, how, let's say, the roofs, for instance, would work or not work if they're on a 23, 25 degree angle with these tiles, if the water would really drain up, and all these kinds of questions. So it was bilateral, more or less, fluctuation of work. Here you can see the bathhouse, which is one of the smaller baths in Carnuntum. There's also a big one, which is expected to be reconstructed in the following years. Here you can see work in progress, and then the finishing up 2 years ago, and that how it looks inside. So that would be very, very hard to transform into a computer, into a screen, into a device. You have to be in there, and I think people like Victor has been visiting there, and they're really astounded because at the moment you get in, you feel the warmth, you have the whole audio around you, you have the dimensions you can feel, and that's something very nice to have. So the virtual reconstruction, like I showed you before, started off with prospection of the terrain. From there on, we had to, of course, make a reconstruction of the terrain. There were some drill profiles we could take from the flow of the Danube. You can see right here, which now, of course, is on another position. Most of the town's northern space around here fell into the Danube due to the erosion, and is actually completely lost. So the certainty of the reconstruction, of course, misses some parts, which also have to be displayed for the visitors. There are millions of items, I think 1.7 million items found, which are hosted by the park in a special archive. And we tried to start digitizing the most important artifacts. Until now, we had digitized around 4,000 artifacts, and we took the most prominent ones to be present in the movies which were shown in the museums there. Here you see a small reconstruction of one artifact. Of course, like you saw in the other picture, it's very vital to show which parts have been reconstructed, added to the original. And here you can see one part of a movie where these artifacts are just being laid in to the complete scene. Of course, we didn't want to disturb the flow of the movies and the interactive applications, so we decided not to show the false pictures of reconstructed parts and parts where we're not very sure, but this in other publications is accessible to the visitors or to the public. Also for the buildings, there was quite, let's say, new approach of reconstruction. On the one hand, of course, we, the artists, made some examples how we thought that the reconstruction could look like. On the other hand, we wanted the archaeologists to put their hands into the 3D program and try out with very simple forms their ideas, not to take our work away, but to also get their minds into the work we do, so they can better understand how we actually approach the processes. So here you can see some phases, some ideas of a reconstruction from a big bathhouse in Carnuntum, and at the end, of course, the shape and the architecture changed a lot through this process. That is the final image. Now, going on from here, of course, we had to model a lot of architectural features. There's approximately 12,000 houses, architectural artifacts, let's put it like this, which had to be remodeled over the space of 7 times 5 kilometers. And like said before, it was not only for film interactives, but also for the maquette models. So it was quite a hard task. Again, most of the region is only prospected. There are a lot of excavations going on just for ground truthing, but all in all, it's most of the times more a guess than real knowledge about the buildings topological features, and also the placement. So what we did here is just a false image, false color image, where the certainties are just drawn out from a scale of different colors, where you can actually see what is really sure and what is not so certain. Same applies for the excavation parts, like here. We can see that the excavation had been scanned. It's afterwards, of course, then been buried again. And before showing the film, we had just this small images showing what is existing and what is in the film, then added as a reconstruction. Now that is Temple of Nemesis by the Amphitheater 2. Now here's an inside view of this temple, where you see the artifacts which had been found, then implemented again into the movie, but before that, of course, only 20% of the image you present to the public is then really existing. Similar to this, there was an occasion last year to reconstruct another interesting part of the Amphitheater 1 through perspectives and aerial photography. There was a gladiator school found, which is still underground, but we had the opportunity to reconstruct that from a very, very good source of geomagnetic images. Which went in a depth of 4 centimeters, so we had really a 3D model of the structures beneath the earth. So you can see the reconstruction here, you can see the interpretation on this side right here, and then our interpretation of the school right here. So all of these reconstructions, of course, rely mostly on the aims of taking knowledge from excavated areas of Carnuntum, Vienna, and other sites along the Danube, and try to reuse or model the houses in the style of this region, and also concerning to the heights, concerning to the dimensions of the rooms and everything else. So coming from here, there's a small movie where you can actually see also a bit of the process of the reconstruction from there. So here you have the remains of the Amphitheater 2, plus its reconstruction, the perspection of the gladiator school. Well, it's a very important find for Carnuntum because, as far as I know, it's one of 3 gladiator schools in the Roman world we know of at the moment. So there's 2 in Italy and 1 in Carnuntum at the moment. So maybe to explain the school itself, there is a small training area here right in the middle. The house of the main house sits here at the front, which is opposite to the north. On the back side to the south are the chambers of the gladiators, and the training hall is right here. The training hall, apparently 2 walls of it collapsed completely at once. So in the radio picture, we could see also the window, the height of the complete walls and everything else, which was also a very lucky find. So all of this has been then used, of course, to produce, like I said, not only the movies, but also the maquette model. It had to be kept in a way that things like these finds could be re-implemented on a later stage, because when we started off the maquette model, we did not really know about this find at the school. We started off in 2006, and the find was actually made last year. So I think I have to cut here because it's going to take a bit too long. I still have to go for a few slides. Like I said, there's always uncertainty of the reconstruction for different parts, so therefore we did a lot of trial and error work on that on one side. On the other side, there was also the opportunity to just try out a few things and just keep them more or less, not make them public, but keep them for a later stage, maybe to show this result when the material which we were coming off from is more complete through further excavations or further prospections. So here you see the Petendura east of the legendary fortress, a very good prospected area, but partly not existing anymore because one part of the northern part of these barracks had been eroded to the Danube already. Another part of the task was to give a very lively picture of the surrounding and the life of the people there. But most of the times we decided not to use human characters in the movies because it was very hard to achieve realism on the one side, even though we use motion capture suits and everything else to drive the animations of the characters. But we decided to leave it blank. But on the other side, tried to make the images as lively, as realistic as possible. So in this image, for instance, you can see that in the backyard of these typical houses of the region, there are dump yards right there, there's a latrine right there which was found, of course. There are things which human would actually leave behind if they were just going out for dinner or for lunch. And you were just in that timescape coming in and seeing all these small parts lying around. So that was the idea to make the images and movies a bit more realistic. That is overview. For the terrain, sometimes, of course, you don't have the material or the possibility to reconstruct the terrain completely from existing material because, like in this case, there was a sanctuary on a hill near Carnuntum, but the hill itself was taken away over the last 150 years by a quarry. So the only source we had were historical maps, historical photographs and everything else, which we then used to put into GIS and reconstruct the terrain. Also here we made difference in the images of the reconstruction and the existing parts. The same follows, of course, then for the flow of the Danube. Also here, only old maps have been taken to aim the original river system of this part of the Danube. But like I said, there's approximately 1,200 drills we could use to reconstruct certain parts, but that was not completely covered by the whole area. The artifacts, like already mentioned, were digitized since 2007, which is an ongoing process, and then put into a database. which is accessible to the public. You can find the database at carnuntum.db, and you can download the original scans if you like for comparisons on the one side. On the other side, the task in the database was not only to digitize, but also to show or to make these scans available over the internet and over mobile devices. So here we had to reduce the size of the 3D laser scans to 1% of the original size. So mostly the scans derived by about 500 to 1 million polygons. We had to deduct that to 1%. What we did is a kind of photogrammetrical approach, virtual photogrammetrical approach. We took the original scan with the texture, made a set studio setup in a 3D program, made approximately 50 to 60 photographs, and made a new geometry out of these photographs to map the original surface, the original texture onto the low polygon model. So with that, we achieved approximately 1 to 2% of the original size, and models can be viewed without a problem in most of the mobile devices and on the internet. Here you can see also some approaches we did before the thermal complex was finished. There was a small drone we built to lift at least a camera of 2.5 kilos. Again, for the use of photogrammetry, digitizing in a, let's say, low-cost way, more or less, to use it, to implement it into the movies, into the reconstruction, and then also, of course, for the maquettes. An exhibition was then also planned after the finishing of all the work from the one-to-one reconstructions, from the movies and everything else, just showing the making of, showing the sources where we took from, we actually reconstructed from, to the public. So that exhibition is running now for the next 2 years, and is very interesting, I think, for the people who are visiting, because they get an insight to the sources we, the artists and the scientists, actually have to make these pictures, to make these images, and also, of course, the haptical reconstructions. Also here there are various technologies involved, touch technologies, interactive applications. The complete reconstruction can be visited through a DVD, and you can, in real-time 3D, go through almost all the bigger houses, fly around the whole region, get information on several layers of depth. So there's a more or less information layer which is aimed for not so skilled persons, and then information layers which go into farther depth the more you actually go in. Here's another example of an installation we did this year in Bonn in Germany, where these medias were set in a different environment. And the interesting part about this is that not only you can, of course, make an augmented reality with goggles, but the content of the movie, which is shown there, reflects directly to the environment of the exhibition which is shown. So the painting you have here is being explained by the movie, but the movie also explains the complete erection of the town, the life of the people, the houses and everything else. So it gives a really good insight to the story of that part of the exhibition. So I was talking about the way, the approach we made the reconstruction, the 3D reconstruction in the computer. We wanted to invite the scientists to take part in that reconstruction. So we developed a kind of tool, add-on more or less, for a real-time environment for Unity 3D, which is quite common 3D editor. The add-on allows non-specialists to work in a 3D environment by using pre-made modules to set them in on a pre-imported terrain, which can then be, of course, textured with various informations like GPR images, or also, of course, then the interpretations of these images. And the editor can choose various sets of these modules which reside from different architectural features and set that on the terrain. The idea here, besides just getting in to the process of 3D modeling for the archaeologist, is also to get away from the site above, from a site on a 2D map, and draw in on the real terrain, which is very different. Because here you can see, for instance, more or less a 2D view of the region, of this region right here, of the reconstruction. So if you draw that into AutoCAD or into a mapping GIS system from above, you don't have the feedback, the immediate feedback, how that fits into the terrain. Because as you can see here, the terrain has a quite steep angle, and it does not allow the dimension of the houses to expand to a certain size. So from here on, you have to step on to another level of the house, and that, of course, reflects on the reconstruction itself. So right here you have one view of an insula which was made quite quickly, and that is also a very important aim, to sketch out the ideas in a very quick way, to allow you to be flexible, to throw your ideas, maybe if needed, away again and start from scratch new, and to retry and not stick to your let's say work you've done, but just to skip all kinds of ideas, and you try and new possibilities. Oops. So here's a short overview how that works. You have the terrain, which is split up into insulas. Whereas I have to mention, the images you see here are from another site. It's in Portugal, in Amaya. And you can see you can plant these modules quite fast, not as fast as shown in the movie, but we made tests with people which are not so skilled, and they could lay out the complete town within a day, and that is quite fast. So the difference between working in this environment and a normal 3D modeling environment is that if I model in a high precision, it takes a long time. If the result took a long time, I will defend the result much harder than a sketch, an idea, which I can lay out in a day. Plus, of course, the advantage is if you're finished, you can actually go down to the ground and see a result from a normal man's perspective. So I'm also going to skip this. So while working over the last years in Carnuntum, we also tried to bring these developments to other sites, like to the site in Portugal, and try if that also works on other sites, if that is only singular possibility in Carnuntum, but also if that is possible to be transferred, to be flexible. Documentation is, of course, a very important task because not only we have to go back sometimes and make changes to the models, but also if our firm is not existing or not working on that site anymore, we have to leave all the steps of the work we did documented for others, which is, I think, the most important part at all. A model which doesn't have documentation, in my eyes, is worthless because afterwards you really have to get down to the decisions made. So what we use for this is a normal block system, more or less, where scientists and artists show their results, discuss their results. At the end, the scientist in charge checks if everything's okay and frees the model. From this stage on, we can take the model and build it into the complete environment. So with that, we have all the decision making documented, and we can then always go on from one step to the other, from one house to the other. So this is only a few examples of this block. Now, the impact to the public was quite large, not only, of course, by the reconstruction, the virtual reconstruction made, but also by the haptical reconstruction of the houses. It can almost be said that the haptical reconstruction, also when it started a few years ago with a small house, was even giving more impact to the public than the virtual ones, even though the virtual ones have, of course, a very easy access to print and to broadcast medias, like you can see right here. So there were various formats publicated. DVDs were made, interactive DVDs, making of films and so on, a huge set of these things. But again, I think that one very important part was the haptical installation of these parts. On the one side, it was the model, which could show the dimension of the whole area there to the people. It could be explained where the certain parts of the cities are. Afterwards, you can visit the park, you can go into the houses, and then visit two other museums where the virtual reconstructions are shown. So as you can see, it is very divided. It is not put together. There are no screens or no movies or anything in the houses, in the reconstructed houses, or in the part of the maquette model. But in the divided parts, in the Museum 1 and 2, everything comes together and is being explained. So this is, yeah. Again, I told you about the way of reducing the model size. I think I will not go into that too deeply, but that is one image of this photogrammetry, virtual photogrammetry we actually made from that model, which is being scanned from a with a high precision scanner. We made photos all around the model. From these photos, new geometry derived, plus the texture, and this texture was then put on the low polygon model. Advantage here is that the texture is being placed exactly on the point where it actually is. So it's not a retexturing, it's actually really the real texture of the original artifact. So this is some features of the database. You can log in or just be as a normal visitor. A normal visitor can, of course, view all the items, but not download the original artifact. If you're logged in, you can download one of the 3,000 artifacts which are on the database at the moment. There's also training going on, which is not only bound to Carnuntum, but also a European project which we are in for the last years. And the last training session we had was about reconstruction in Carnuntum, which was very interesting. Also to see how much interest and how much skills archaeologists have at this moment, know about 3D reconstruction. And it must be said that this is a topic which should be trained a lot more because the understanding is not fully here at the moment on the scientific side. And I do think that it would be a big gain for science if scientists would also have an insight, at least, to the way of working, to the procedures and to the possibilities, just to sketch out, like I said before, their own ideas and to see if that works. Here are some images about the exhibition, which is dedicated to the making of. So a lot of different approaches were shown there. The sources, the techniques, and also the results, of course, from all the reconstructions made over the last 6 or 7 years. Augmented reality was also a theme which was implemented, but at the moment not too successful because, like I said, it's a site which is very large at one scale, so the people have to travel from one place to another quite a long way. They can go by bike. But on the other way, the hardware existing, like iPhones, iPad, and so on, are not really dedicated or mature enough to be used in an outside environment. There's a lot of reflection on the screens and everything else, so that was not really the issue we were following up to. So here at last you see a small movie about images about techniques which were used. Like said, LiDAR scan has been used, also with a special airplane which has been made, a small aircraft company near Vienna. Also special filters have been refined, let's put it like this, to recalculate different features of the surface. So here you can see the parts which have been excavated, and beside here you have only a prospected part, which is the forum area with the GPR image. Radar. And then some attempts for the reconstruction. Then various sources have been taken to compare parts of the architecture, compare parts of similar sites. Then the STL model had to be made for the printing of maquettes. And after a while, a long while, we got to the complete reconstruction. Now, with the standing remains, digitization, of course, was the first part of the work. So here you see a late antique quadrifones, which is in front of the Sibyl town. And also, as you can see here, it's clearly divided between the standing remain, the real artifact, and the reconstructed one. Then the way of modeling is being shown because a lot of people don't have an insight how that procedure is really taking place. So as you can see here, it's actually a CAD model where all the parts have to be completely modeled and put together like in real-world environments. So you can see phase 1 from the amphitheater 2. And at the end, of course, all of these materials have been used for making small movies and real-time applications. So you can see a civil town right here. So all in all, the Cannabis and the civil town inhabited approximately 60,000 people, so it was quite a large town. The Amphitheater 1 is amongst the bigger amphitheaters of the Roman world, so it hosted around 15,000 people. And there's the overview. And of course, ongoing from here, we will supplement existing data with upcoming results from science, and I'm sure that we will have something to show within the next years. Well, thank you.